The United Nations is seen today as a current one world governing body, and one of their major platforms is disarmament. Well, this article comes from the New American, and it states that the global gun control advocates recently met in New York City to set a UN disarmament agenda. Anti-gun globalists met in New York City on June 6 through 10 to discuss ways to confiscate small arms and ammunition from civilians and to consolidate monopoly control over those weapons in the hands of the government of the United Nations and their member states. The convention is part of a UN-controlled process of disarmament called the Program of Action. Delegates from around the world attended the 6th biennial meeting of the states of the POA, and this latest planning meeting gave delegates an opportunity to move the ball closer to the goal of ridding the world's civilian population of the small arms and ammunition that could challenge the ability of the UN-approved governments to carry out the will of the world body. The article highlights a few of the provisions that represent the most clear and present danger to our liberties. Here's just a couple of those provisions. Number one, the plan calls for the UN's member states to eliminate the threat of technology advanced weapons, including polymer firearms like Glocks and different weapons, and 3D printed guns. In essence, globalists at the UN want to draw up comprehensive plans to take guns, any and every variety of gun, out of the hands of civilians. Number two, paragraph 33 of the chair's summary of the meeting calls for urgent tracking of civilian-owned firearms, recommending that manufacturers be forced by the UN to install RFID and biometric technologies in limiting the access to the weapon to authorized users only. So they're wanting to put a RFID chips on the guns, and then with authorized users defined as state actors or members of the UN. That's right. As part of the Program of Action, the foundation upon which the arms treaty is built, a treaty nearly half of the U.S. Senate supports, the United States has committed to passing legislation that will require domestic firearms and ammunition manufacturers to equip their products with RFID chips and biometric technologies that will help the government slowly but surely disarm civilians. And of course, the list goes on and on. So it's evident from reading the reading of this latest UN disarmament publication that despite the rhetoric related to the promotion of a culture of peace, that there are only two reasons the UN is making every effort to disarm the population of the United States. Number one is to weaken our sovereignty, and number two is to take out from our people their ability to resist those dictators at home and abroad who would place us under the boot of tyranny. Well, folks, these efforts are nothing more than moves by the United Nations to create the end-time one world government prophesied in Revelation 13.